Hi students, hope you all are doing great. In today's topic, we are going to understand how to use sense verbs. Now, the use of sense verbs is a very important part of English grammar. So, firstly, this topic is going to help us to understand the five senses and also how to use verbs along with those sense words. It will also help us to improve our ability to share the descriptions of things with anybody. Both of these things are very essential for our English communication, so let us begin. Now, here is a chart that has all the senses and all the verbs that we can use with each of these senses. For example, for the sense of sight, which is for the eyes, we can use the verb see. Similarly, for the sense of smell, that we get from the help of our nose, we use the verb smell. For the sense of hearing, we use the verb hear. For the sense of taste, we can use the word taste. And finally, for the sense of touch, we use the verb touch. Now, I hope you remember that when we describe or want to describe how someone or something looks, feels, sounds, tastes, or smells like, we use a certain group of words known as adjectives. So, words like look, feel, sound, taste, smell can be used along with adjectives, and these words are called as sense verbs. Now, let us look at a simple rule that we can follow while making sentences using sense verbs. So, in this rule, we need to start the sentence with the subject. After that, we add the sense verb and finally the adjective. So, let us see how this formula and rule is applied in actual sentences through these examples. The first sentence says, "You look angry." Now, here we can clearly understand that you is the subject, look is a sense verb for the sense of sight, and to describe this sense we have used the adjective angry. So, angry is describing the look. Now, in the next sentence, her perfume smells nice. So, her perfume is the subject, smell is another sense verb, and to describe the smell, we have used the adjective nice. So, nice is telling us that the perfume smells nice. And lastly, the sentence I feel tired. I is the subject, feel is the sense verb, and tired is describing the feel. Great. Now, this is how we can use sense verbs in a sentence and also describe them. Now let's move on to yet another important topic that is called narrating our story. So here we are going to look at how we can tell our story to other people in the most proper way and with a proper flow. Let's look at how we can do that. Now, when we want to narrate our story or describe our history and our experiences, we can do so by following these 3 points. Now, first we can begin with what had happened in the past, some stories about your past, and then we can continue with explaining what is happening at the moment, right now, in the present. And we finally end our story by explaining or letting other people know what you want to happen in the future and what will happen in the future. Let's look at how to describe each of these things through a story. Now, when we want to think about the past, when we want to start our story by describing events, celebrations, difficulties, etc., that had happened in the past, here are some ways we can think of doing so. So we can either talk about where and when I was born, or how was my childhood, how were my school days, what did I like to do back then, what did I hate doing before, what were some of my learnings, and what are some of my regrets. So, here are some tips for you that will help you to think about things that are relevant to share about your past with other people. Now that you have spoken about your past, it is time to start speaking about your present. Let's look at things that you can talk about. So, firstly, you can talk about what you like doing at present, what you are doing at present, something about your friends and family around you. How did you grow as a person? What kind of person you are now? And what are some of my current learnings? Great. This is sounding very simple, but we must be very aware about what things will help our story and help our story be more impressive. Now, it's time to think about the future. Now we are trying to close our story. So, in the closing, you can talk about what do you want to do in the future? Where do you see yourself? What new things you want to do and learn? What things will remain the same from your past and present? Where would you want to live? And how different would your life be from your past and present? Now, these are some very interesting things that you can talk about, either about your past, your present, and your future. Hopefully, you have thought about these things already because it's time to put them into a proper story through an activity. So, before we do that, let's look at what this activity has asked us to do. We are going to write down all the things and words, just certain things and words, not a story, that come to our mind when we think about each of these following themes. For example, what are some of the words that come to your mind when you think about your past? It might be maybe you were a naughty child, so you can write naughty, or if you had you were a very studious person, then you can write studious. Next, in the present, what you're currently doing. If you're a student, you can continue writing student here as well. If you're working, you can say employed, or anything that you think you want to share, you can write thinking about your present. And lastly, about your future, what are some of the things that come to your mind when you think about your own future? You can mention all of them in here. So, I hope this activity will be extremely exciting for you because it is also very important for you to know about the certain things that you can share with everybody that is related to your past, present, and future. It will help people to know you better and also to help build good connections and friends. Great. All the very best. Hope you enjoy this activity.